why are you not living your American dream? So, and the subsequent question is, do you even know what the American dream is? Let's just stop there. Because in order to live a dream, you need to know what that is, right? And I'm sure that a lot of people define the American dream on their own understanding. And this is what many people think of the American dream simply, is material success, is a social prosperity. That's what we think about the American dream. If you have a white picket fence house, you have a big bank account and good retirement, then you would be said to be living your American dream. But by the time that I leave this stage, you will realize that you have access to living your American dream that you never thought before, with the power of your one thing. You see, I started in a small village of Tonga in the West Province of Cameroon. And I grew up with my grandmother. You see, my grandmother was a handicap due to an injury to her arm. When I say handicap, it's because in the village of Tonga where I grew up, the main occupation is subsistence farming, like some of you may know. That means you have to cultivate for consumption. But my grandmother was not able to do such, and we were finding ourselves as children being hungry most of the time. So it was a familiar thing to me. On top of that, our life was such that we couldn't even, we were wearing like second-hand clothing, and it was very humble beginning, just to be conservative on that term. And I was living ashamed with our situation. My whole life, I was ashamed of that situation. And because we live with the kerosene lamp, of course, some of you remember, we do not have electricity at home. So which means for me, I have to develop the acute ability to learn from the teacher in class, because I couldn't sustain long hours at home studying with the kerosene lamp. So which means I have to develop how I can capture the essence of the class inside the classroom. And I started to be enamored of some of the teachers who were absolutely great at explaining courses. I started to like those teachers tremendously. So fast forward, in 2001, I was 25, I came to the US to continue living here. And one thing that I grew up my entire life was developing was the fact that I've always been a shy person. Even though I was tall, but I was very timid. I could not even ask the question in class. Even when I came to the US, I was still the same person that I was back home, even though I was already an adult. See? So, but hell broke loose for me when I started to go to college. And I was taking English class. Mind you, I came here not speaking English. So I was on the French part of Cameroon. So I was taking English class at Salamanca College. And my teacher, because I've been always quiet in class, she asked me to read a passage in the book. When I stood to read, my mind sat back down and I froze. And I was sweating profusely and shaking even. But there was a voice inside of me that caused me to continue to read, which I did. At the end of which, my professor said something that changed everything. She said, Elvis, there's something about your voice that's kind of pleasing to hear. You see, some of you may have heard that when you were going to school, teachers often give feedback to students just as encouragement. But for me, it was more than that. It was the seed that was planted in me. You see, I don't know about you, my culture is that you don't speak, only you are spoken to. Even when you speak, you don't look at somebody else, the older person, in the eyes. So I grew up in the environment, in the culture that we are not familiar with praise. But this this teacher just gave me something that is powerful. And that seed started to grow. And oftentimes in class, I would want to even ask some question. Simply because I want to fish more praise. I was desiring more praise. That led me in the path of wanting to do more of that. Of speaking up. Whether inside the classroom or outside the classroom. Simply because I was fishing praise. That led me to the path that in order to want to speak out, I need to know what to speak about. That's when I took the journey of actually reading books. Because before then, books were just the only one that were assigned in class. I started to go to the library, just pick up books and start to read. And then I started to discover principles in those books that were speaking deeply to me, that where you are is not where you're going to end up. This philosophy of life, right? The transformation, personal development. Then when I started to realize that indeed, I started to love the idea of sharing what I was learning. This principle of life, right? I want to share to those who are still a step behind me. Just like both of the previous speakers mentioned, it's about turning back and teach the person that you used to be. So, and I started to develop, in order to share this thing, you have to develop an ability to share. And that's led me into a communication path. A communication path today that I believe is my one thing. You see, I grew up, didn't have that in me, but it was always inside of me, even though it was buried under the pile of shame, pile of guilt, and pile of timidity, but it was inside of me. How do I know that? In 2005, Steve Jobs gave a speech at Stanford University called, in that speech, he said that you can only connect the dot going backward. You see, as I mentioned to you, even though I was the shyest person that you can imagine, but I used to admire those who were eloquent, those who can speak out in such a way that were convincing and persuasive. That's when I realized speaking was my one thing. And I started to teach other people like me who didn't have the voice. I started to help those who may have an idea but don't know how to bring it out, to give it in the way that can be very clear, concise, and compelling. The 3 C's. So I realize it's my thing now. Speaking becomes my one thing, that it's inside of me. I know fully well, because when I'm on stage speaking, it flows. There's something that's inside of me. It's such a ball inside of me. I realize it's inside of me. And I look back and I realize there's got to be, in every single person living, there's got to be that one thing. Everybody has that one thing. I did research, I looked left, I looked right, and I realized everybody has that one thing. And that thing was bestowed on you at birth. We said that earlier. By your creator, God, whatever you believe you come from. There's a blueprint of something unique about you, right? There are no two of you out there. You are just you. Okay, let's go back and see. Just the simple fact that you were chosen out of hundreds of millions sperm cells to be you today means that there's something magical about you. You're just not at random here. But what is that thing? And this is where I step back. Why many people don't really pursue that one thing? The reason is simple. When we start school, this is where we can discover that one thing and why we don't even pursue that one thing. When we start school, first grade, second grade, or even earlier kindergarten, there are some subjects that we are naturally good at. Where did that come from? You are just starting school. There's no pre-established understanding or knowledge of anything, but you are good at maybe math, maybe literature, maybe history, whatever that is. Every single single one of us had that, right? But the school system wants us to bring about grades in the subjects we are not good at. We take the time away from the things that we already naturally good at to put on the things that we are weak at. We end up becoming average in life. That's how we lose ourselves in the process of trying to tackle many things at once. Just imagine if you were to concentrate everything that you have on that one thing that you have discovered. By the time that you hit your 20 or earlier or even later, you will become an expert. And now, when we talk about expert, we talk about those who move the needle, those who change our life today. You see, with expertise, you would be really, the world would beat the path to your door. And with that comes success. You might call it material success, whatever that is. With that, you will be fulfilled because you are aligned with that which God has put inside of you. So you see, you're no longer just achieving success as the society defines it. We are actually living the true potential of who we are, defined by God Almighty. You see, because if some of you who probably have learned the Bible, God would ask you, what did you do with the talent that I gave you? You know the story of talents in the Bible. What have you done with the talent I gave you? So that's how everybody has the one thing. So now if you know that you have that one thing, right? And the definition of one thing is pursuing that worthwhile thing, right? That thing that's inside of you. Now, I asked the question earlier, why are you not living your American dream? Simply because you missed out the real definition of the American dream. Let me invite you in the Declaration of Independence, a phrase that says that every human being has the right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You see, I want you to underline pursuit. Do you think that the silence of this document didn't have the term attainment of happiness rather than they use pursuit of happiness? So that simply means as long as you are pursuing something, as long as you are going somewhere, as long as you are pursuing your one thing, you are fulfilling your American dream. Do you see the connection? As long as you are pursuing what God has gifted you, you are pursuing your American dream. Now, we say American dream simply because we live in America. But you don't have to live in America to pursue your dream. You can be in a small village in Cameroon. As long as you are pursuing that one thing, you are living your universal dream. I call it the universal dream, right? It doesn't matter what, you could be a street sweeper. As long as you are pursuing, sweeping the street so well that when the angel comes in, they know that there was a great street sweeper here, you are fulfilling your universal dream. No matter where you are, whether you can call it your Mexican dream, you can call it your Cameroonian dream, you can call it your Canada dream, you can call it whatever dream that you want to call it. As long as you are pursuing that thing that God has deposited in you. You see, that thing is in every single one of us. And again, it's not geographically limited to one place. If you are in Cameroon, because I'm sure that some of our audience will be back home, and we know the situation of back home. Some people are just limited by the understanding of the environment. Oh, there's not really much I can do. Are you becoming the best woodcutter that has ever been in that village? Because if you are best at what you do, the world would beat the path to your door. And not only people would be looking for you, seeking you, but you'll be fulfilling that which God has deposited in you. And not only you would have success in the material sense of the term or societal sense of the term, but you would be so much fulfilled. It's joyful to be living that dream. For me today, any time that I'm sharing how you can use your voice, like you can have a good idea, but you don't know how to convey it in the way that can be persuasive, that can cause somebody to do something about it, that can cause somebody to go and change something about it. It would just be an idea inside of you. That's why speaking, for me, it's my one thing. And I share with people how to use the voice. Because I think your voice is your personality. You can be well dressed. You can walk like a king, but the moment you open your mouth, that's when people would decide if I'm going to listen to you, if I'm going to check my phone. How to tell a story in such a way that is so powerful, that can impact, that can go through people's mind and goes to their heart and cause their body to move. When we tell a story, we listen, right? It goes right in our brain fast. But it has to go to our heart too. That's where the emotional part of it comes in. And when it goes to our heart, that's when it causes us to do something about the story we just heard. To be inspired to do something, to change our life, to change somebody else's life. That's why speaking is my one thing. And I tell people that if you think about it, communication, it's only 7% of what you said, which means verbally, what comes out of your, it's only 7%. Your voice is 38%. Your body language is 57%. Your body is your unconscious mind. You can be saying something lying with your mouth, but your body will be telling a different story. So when you know how to use your body language, when you know how to read the body language, now you are on this different level of impacting people with your voice, with your body. So that became my one thing. And I realized you and everybody has the one thing. But we lost simply because we see, we kind of pursue the shiny aura, right? We want to see where the train is. We want to go there because we think that people are making money out of it, or maybe people are talking so much about it. But what's inside of you? What's inside of you? That's why we need to search. And I mentioned to even go back in time when we start school. Maybe the childhood fascination, those are where lies our one thing. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, and I think that if you really take the time and just go inside of yourself, just take that moment. I often say that we have become human doing rather than human being, and this is where being comes in. To take that time to go back and go inside and question what's inside of me. What is my one thing in life? What is that thing God has wanted me to come and share with the world? Once we realize that, when we find that, everything will change. Our one thing can change everything. Whether you are in America, whether you are any part of the world, as long as you are pursuing that one thing, you will be living your universal dream. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.